Over the past 5 days, we have been learning the basic building blocks of establishing our mindfulness of breathing practice, learning about grounding, about posture, about paying attention to the breath. Now we're going to begin to look at how the mind works and shifts and changes when we pay attention to it. So what you will have observed over these days is that when you sit down to meditate, you have an intention to feel, to be present to the sensations of your breathing, the mind inevitably wanders. There's nothing wrong with this. This is not a problem, but rather we can see becoming aware of that the mind has wandered. That moment of awareness is an opportunity to reconnect to the body, to reconnect to the sensory process of breathing. It's an opportunity rather than a failing. This is the process of mindfulness. It's not about always feeling the breath. It's more about recognizing when we have got lost in imagination, in distraction, in rumination, and in that moment of recognition, coming back to the present moment, coming back to reality. So the mind wanders, and what we can see also is that it wanders into all kinds of stuff. If you're having a very stressful day, it's normal that your mind will wander into thoughts around the day's stress. If you've had some very difficult experience, or maybe you're living some difficult experience at the moment, elderly parents, maybe they're ill, maybe you're dealing with some health condition, or something hard in your life, that is going to pull your attention. Your mind is going to go there. If you have old habitual patterns of always thinking about that there's something wrong with you, or you don't like yourself, or you have you're not easy with your body, and you tend to ruminate on that, your mind will go there. And we can start to recognize and see these thought processes arising, coming into awareness for a moment, and then passing. This is the thoughts themselves being more like a mental event rather than something that is necessarily true. We can imagine the mind like a vast open sky, and within that there are clouds, there are thoughts that come and go. And these thoughts will be based upon our condition, our experience, the experiences that we have had throughout our life, from our early childhood all the way to the present moment. And we can begin to see these thoughts, the thoughts that emerge, much like clouds passing through the sky, as mental events rather than something that is true. We tend to think or to believe that because we think something, it must be true. And we might have some idea of how we look, or we're not happy with our body, and we are very invested in that thought, and we believe it to be completely true. But when we pay attention, we begin to see that the mind has lots of different voices in it. One voice might tell you you look young, another that you look old, another that your body looks healthy, another that you need to lose weight, a voice that says there's something wrong with the current moment, one that says that all is well. And you see this village, this society of voices that exist in our minds. that are very much connected to our life experiences. So we want to begin to see this, to notice that there are these voices. And sometimes this process is referred to as decentering, where we sort of take a step back and we observe the thoughts coming and going, passing in and out of our awareness without having to be so invested in them as we may normally be. So normally a thought comes up, I don't like the way I look. We grip onto that thought, we cling onto it, we hold it, we become very invested. It changes how we feel in our bodies. There's strong and difficult emotions that come, and that thought really solidifies, it becomes stronger, it creates these negative feedback loops, these negative cycles that more deeply entrenches and solidifies that thought. And what we want to do in our mindfulness practice is to recognize, there's that thought. It's just a thought. I can take a step back, can decenter. I don't have to be so emotionally invested in it. I can observe it as like a cloud moving through the sky, and I can just let it pass. And that is such a valuable skill. And that will slowly, over time, change the relationship that we have with our thought processes. So this practice today is about welcoming the wandering mind, allowing whatever comes to be there. And you can even give it a label. You can say, I notice that I'm thinking about, I'm worried about how I look, for example. And then you can just let it pass. Or I'm worried about money. You can notice that and let it pass. I'm worried about my health. Just give it a label and let it pass. So there's this quality of decentering. We don't have to be so attached, so invested in the thought process. It's another useful skill that we can develop. It's something we develop in our meditation practice, but it has so much, it translates so well into our everyday life. Okay, so let's sit for our 10-minute practice. Okay, you can close your eyes. Feel the contact of your body with the ground. Feel the contact of your body with the chair, with the cushion. Your spine is upright, shoulders relaxed. What is present here? How do you feel in your body as you sit here now? What sensations are present? Maybe you've had a stressful day. And you can feel that stress in your body. Maybe you're tired. What emotions are present? What is your mood? Perhaps you're in a low mood or a good mood. What thoughts? What's the quality of your mind? Is it busy? Is it quiet? And just noticing how the day's events are present in our bodies in this moment. Perhaps your mind is very fast and you're caught up in difficult thought processes. So just taking an inventory of our experience. Step 2, feeling the breath in your body, in the core of your body. Feeling the rhythm of your breath. Chest and rib cage is open. Spine is upright. Just notice if your mind has wandered. And take a moment to just notice how that thought, the quality of that thought that's caught your mind. Is it a difficult thought? How is it reflected in your body? You can give it a label. I'm thinking about my health, for example. And come back to feel the breath in the body. Just letting the thought pass. The intention here is to feel the breath as much as possible. But if your mind wanders, to become aware of what it has wandered to. Perhaps to give it a label, to notice the quality of the thought, and then to come back to the breath. We can notice that we are somewhat invested in those thoughts. And by shifting our attention to the breath, we take the investment out of the thought. Feeling the breath in your body. You can notice if a thought has caught your attention. It's like a mental event. You don't have to stay with it. You can just let it go and come back to the breath. Now stage 3, letting your breath fall into the background and simply sitting still. An awareness of your body, your posture, sitting like a mountain, feeling the grounding, spine is upright. Just noticing what is coming into view, the clouds moving across the sky. And sometimes you hold on to the cloud. Could be pain in the body, could be a difficult thought, difficult emotion. And the invitation is to recognize when you've contracted around an experience, a thought, a sensation, and to allow it to pass. You can connect to your posture, your spine, the sensations of grounding. Seeing our thoughts much like events, as weather that comes and goes. And bringing your meditation to a close, you can open your eyes and stretch out. This was one of the most impactful lessons I learned from meditation, was that just because I think something, it doesn't mean that it's true. My mind is like a village of different voices. Many of those voices are in conflict, in opposition to one another. And why believe? There's a tendency, if there's a difficult thought, I become very invested. I really believe that. Sometimes I've heard people say the mind is like a Velcro for difficult thoughts, and it's like Teflon for the good stuff. And the good stuff doesn't stick, and we become very invested in the difficult stuff, the stuff that makes us contract and feel bad inside, and think that we're not worthy and we're not good enough. But what we can do through our mindfulness practice is begin to see the sort of the qualities of our thoughts, the feeling tones of our thoughts, and allow them to pass. We don't need to be so invested in them. It's a wonderful skill that we will develop as we practice mindfulness. Thank you.